Yo, what's going on everyone? Mario here with Neko Prints. In today's video, I'm going to be answering one of the questions that I have received most ever. This is literally the number one question that is on my printer videos and just overall the question that people actually message me. Like they actually message me to ask me this. And that is, what's the best printer for my business? What's the best printer I can use? What's the best printer out there, period, that I can use for my business, for my t-shirts, and literally anything else? Well, before I answer that, I want to remind all of you that, remember, I haven't been mentioning it too much, but at 10,000 subscribers, I am going to be doing a giveaway for some DTF prints, some screen print transfers, and a heat press, a 15 by 15 heat press. I have an extra heat press here that I never used because it just came with my old DTG printer. So I'm going to be giving it to one of you to help you start your t-shirt business. So if you want that, make sure you hit that subscribe button, make sure you like this video, make sure you share this video, and make sure you share all of my other videos. We need to hit 10K subscribers before I give out the official rules to actually enter that giveaway. And with that, let's go ahead and get started. Right off the bat, I'm going to tell you straight up, there is no best printer. You can't really hunker down to one specific printer because everyone's needs are different. What you need might be a lot different than what I need. I know for sure that a lot of people, they absolutely love DTG. They will swear by the method. I thought it was great. It was awesome. But at the end of the day, it didn't really work out for me because my business did not need a DTG printer. As most of you know, I actually found that out the hard way by pretty much losing $17,000. Oh God. But if you want more information on that, if you want to check out the whole story, check out this video right here. In it, I explain everything about the DTG printer and why it didn't work for me. But ever since I came out with that video, I've had a lot of people messaging me and telling me, so DTG printers suck. What do you recommend? First off, I need to clear one thing up. DTG printers don't suck. They just didn't work out for me. DTG printers in general are actually pretty good. They're good for mass production. They're good for one-offs. They're good for full color prints, but it needs to be ran consistently. And that did not work for me. So again, remember, it all depends on your business needs and your personal needs. Mainly your business needs. So with that being said, what can we recommend? What can we do to actually find out what works best for us? Well, first, you need to take a step back and you need to figure out, what do I need? Do I need something that prints full color? Do I need something that only does single colors? Am I not really focusing on, full color prints? What am I doing right now? And what printers out there can really benefit what I'm doing? Now, again, this is going to be very dependent on what you offer. I know a lot of people that only use vinyl and that's all they do. They only use vinyl for their t-shirts, even for bulk orders. But then I also know other people that have a bit more of an expanded business and they do offer t-shirts, but they also offer things like tumblers and maybe a few other types of gifts, in which case a sublimation printer works best for them. Now, I know some other people, myself included, that offer a little bit of everything. And we have an online store where we print full color t-shirts. A lot of the times it's not in bulk. Most of the times it's just one, so it's one-offs. On top of that, I also offer a few other things like custom mugs, custom cups like this one, maybe some customized gifts like this skateboard where you have this full color print right here. In which case, in my particular case at least, a white toner printer, specifically the Uninet iColor 560, is the one that I use for practically all of my things at this point, at least when it comes to different types of gifts and one-off shirts. Now, going back to what you need. If you need bulk orders, if you have a lot of bulk orders, if you do a lot of bulk ordering, let's say you have a lot of businesses that you work with in your county or in your city, your town, wherever it is that you live, then a white toner printer might be worth it for you for things other than t-shirts. So instead of using it for t-shirts, you might be able to use it for things like maybe temporary tattoos. If you do a lot of personalized gifts, things for Mother's Day, Father's Day, kids' birthdays, then again, you can use a white toner printer like the Uninet iColor 560. You can use something like the aqua clear paper that they offer for hard surfaces. So there's tons of different applications that you can use the white toner printer for. But again, it's all going to be very dependent on what you offer. Now, going back to what I mentioned before, if you're doing a lot of bulk orders, then a white toner printer might not necessarily be the best option for you in terms of t-shirts. So in which case, you might want to just go with ordering transfers. I order transfers all the time for my bulk orders. So if I have anything that goes over maybe 25 shirts, I'm going to be ordering transfers, whether that be DTF transfers, screen print transfers, or full color screen print transfers. For me, ordering transfers is the way to go with bulk orders. I know a lot of people like to go ahead and screen print everything. And again, that's based on their businesses and based on what they prefer to do. At the end of the day, the numbers are going to add up. If you price your stuff correctly, then you will have the chance to be able to actually make a decent profit. When it comes to most of my products, let's say for my bulk orders, I'm making at a minimum between $60 to about $80 an hour. When it comes to certain products like this, it's actually also pretty easy to calculate because of the way that Uninet prices and sells their different types of papers. So let's say the A and B paper costs about $200 and it brings 100 sheets, then it's going to be $2 per sheet. So each print is going to cost you about $2. Again, that's just an example. There's a lot more things that factor into it. So let's get down to what printer can potentially be best for what media types or for what type of printing. If you're doing only single color printing, so let's say you're going to start off with just making basic shirts with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or even 6 solid colors, so each one being, let's say, layered, then you can go with vinyl. Heat transfer vinyl is going to be pretty much your go-to, and it's awesome because on top of being able to do single orders, you can also go ahead and do bulk orders. That's really going to be dependent on the type of order and the design and whatever else you're including on that shirt, because honestly, weeding 10, 20, 30 pieces of vinyl can get pretty time consuming. I used to be very stubborn and I would not touch transfers at all. So I would do everything with vinyl. Eventually I discovered transfers and I realized for bulk orders, transfers are the way to go because, you know, you're saving a lot of money. But to get started in the game, to get started printing shirts, to get started making samples and all this stuff, you can very well get by with a vinyl cutter. Personally, I use the Silhouette Cameo 4. A few new versions have come out and a few other cutters have come out. Specifically, the one that I'm talking about is going to be the Caesar Romeo and Juliet and the new Cameo that came out. I think it's Cameo 5. Honestly, right now, those are the only 2 brands that I would really trust. I've never really liked Cricut because the entire thing is online, and I feel like Cricut is also a little bit limiting. So I've heard a lot of really good reviews about the Caesar Romeo and Juliet. I've been really wanting to try it myself. But aside from that, the Silhouette Cameo, it's also really good. Personally, I prefer this one, which is the regular size one, the 12-inch. But you can also go with the Plus, which is a 15-inch. And there's also the Pro, which is a 20-inch. I did buy the Pro myself. It's on the shelf. I use this one more than the other one, to be honest with you. It's actually a lot easier to use. I'm not a huge fan of the Pro. It didn't really work out for me. In essence, really, it's pretty much a gold mine. You can make so much money with one of these because not only do you get the option to do heat transfer vinyl for shirts, you can cut adhesive vinyl for stickers. You can go ahead and print out stickers and print and cut, so that way you can do die cut stickers. You can also etch, score, and there's tons of other applications that you can get into with this. Now, if you want to go the full color route, let's say if you want to do full color prints, but you're not necessarily specializing in t-shirts, then there's 2 options. For one, my favorite one is going to be, like I mentioned earlier, the white toner printer. I use the Uninet iColor 560, and to this date, it has been absolutely amazing. I bought it specifically for t-shirts, which at the time, I thought it was a good idea. But honestly, the white toner printer, when it comes to t-shirts, it works. It definitely gets the job done. Customers absolutely love it. The quality is really good, but the longevity on it isn't necessarily the best. Now, there are different types of papers that you can go with, some of which are going to feel better, some are going to last longer. And also, depending on the way that you print your image, can also depend on how long it lasts. So you can rasterize it by taking off certain colors and making it feel softer, in turn allowing water to go through it a little bit easier when it's washing. But when it comes to your business and what type of printer you should go with, the white toner printer, as far as t-shirts, like I said, it's been getting the job done. I use it all the time for my Etsy orders, for any one-offs. So if somebody just needs one shirt for like a birthday, maybe a set of shirts for the family for the birthday, the white toner printer is definitely my go-to. On top of that, like I said earlier, you have a bunch of other options. You can do things like hard surfaces using the aqua clear paper. So you're able to expand your business a little bit more. You can offer a lot more products. Again, you can go ahead and pretty much put it on anything that's hard surface, and it's permanent. It stays on there. So if you're looking to customize more than just t-shirts, if you really want to base your business, your hobby, your craft, whatever it is, around pretty much overall crafting and being able to customize, then the Uninet iColor 560 can very well be a very good choice for you. Now, if you want to check out the Uninet iColor or any of the other accessories, you can check out the link in the description below. And when you check out, you can use my code NECOPRINTS5OFF and you get 5% off your entire order. Now, besides the white toner printer, there's also a sublimation printer. So currently I use the Sawgrass SG1000, and honestly, it's great. But the only thing about it is that it's very limiting. So because it is sublimation, you're limited to light color garments, light colored hard surfaces pretty much, and polyester. So as we all know, or if you don't know, now you know, you cannot print on cotton using sublimation. You can print on, let's say, 60% polyester, 40% cotton, but then you have to think of it this way. Whatever percentage is cotton, that percentage in terms of ink is going to wash away. So if you have 60% polyester and 40% cotton, then expect about 40% of the ink to wash off in the wash. So obviously the higher the polyester count, the better off you're going to be. If you have anything less than 60% polyester, then it's going to fade. I've done it on 50-50 and it looks pretty cool after a wash because it does give it a pretty cool vintage look. But at the end of the day, if that's not what you're going for, your customers are probably not going to like the fact that their images are fading off a little bit. Now, one absolutely amazing thing I love about sublimation is the fact that you literally can't feel it. When you transfer it onto a shirt, it becomes one with the shirt. It becomes part of the shirt. The ink blends in and mixes in with the fibers in one way or another, and it becomes 100% permanent. Of course, it needs to be polyester. It's not washing off, it's not fading, it's not cracking. You can't feel it. Water's gonna go right through it. It's amazing. The way it works is absolutely amazing. Now, just as a quick pro tip, remember, if you ever do want to do a full-on sublimated t-shirt, that is possible, but there are going to be a few different ways to do this. For one, you can go ahead and print pretty much the entire layout of the shirt in multiple pieces of paper and press everything one by one. Now, this can lead to a lot of room for error, especially if things start moving around a little bit, or if you don't have a big enough heat press. The other way of doing this is simply by doing print and cut. For this, you are going to need a lot of polyester fabric and you're going to need a big heat press. Most of the times people do this in industrial setting, I guess you can say, or a bigger space, because you do need a really big heat press to fit an entire shirt. In which case, you pretty much use a huge sublimation printer, something like an Epson, a large format sublimation printer, and print out the entire shirt design. Then you're going to put that on top of your cloth, sublimate it, cut it, put everything together, and voila, you have a shirt. I know that's not something you're going to do at home, but there's a lot of companies out there that you can reach out to that'll get that done for you. That's pretty much how a lot of jerseys are made and things like that. When it comes to sublimation, you also have the option for, again, other types of products like mugs. But not just mugs, there's also a lot of other things that you can print on. And just like when it comes to t-shirts, when you sublimate, the entire thing becomes completely permanent and it's not coming off, no matter how much you scratch, unless you drop it and break it. But look at this, look at that quality, it looks pretty good. Now, really quick, these are all just pretty much general overviews of all of these different types of printers. If you want a video that's specific on any one of these different types of methods, then let me know down in the comments below. Let me know which one you want to know about. If you have any questions, any concerns, I'll do my best to answer them either in comments or if there's enough demand for it to make a full-on video on it. But next up, we have the ever popular and right now currently super trending DTF printers. Now, when it comes to DTF printers, I have my own experience with a Chinese one. If you want that video, it's going to be this one right here. Again, it's going to be linked down below. Make sure you check out this video all the way through before you click that one though. Honestly, I had a horrible experience, but that's because it was a Chinese printer. Didn't really work out that well. When it comes to DTF printers right now are essentially all the rage, but there's also a lot of information that's starting to come out, or at least a lot of people's experiences that are starting to come out with some negative side effects, unfortunately. When it came to printing DTF, I never had a DTF printer that actually worked and I used, but my DTG printer, I did use it to print DTF transfers. When I did that, I opened up all my windows. I didn't have a proper ventilation system, but I did open up all the windows. I put all the powder on the ink, the way you're supposed to do it, and I cured it using my heat press. After about 3 or 4 transfers, I had a massive headache. I felt kind of dizzy, and I just overall didn't feel good. It kind of felt like I was clogged up when in terms of breathing. I have very, very, very light asthma that I got a long time ago because I used to smoke cigarettes. But when I did the DTF transfers, I tried to have as best ventilation as I could. I even wore a mask and I had fans just blowing everything outside. But it wasn't enough. And it wasn't even that much, fumes coming out from the powder or that much powder just floating around from placing it on the transfers. There's absolutely no way I'm going to risk exposing my kids, or at the time, my wife who was pregnant. There's no way I'm going to be exposing them to this. Obviously, whenever I did do it, nobody was home. So this all kind of just fell on me and I was the one that felt bad. So I completely cut that off. Now, in terms of the actual DTF printer, it's kind of the same thing, except DTF printers are going to be a little bit bigger, and depending on your setup, you're going to have, a more efficient setup where everything's done for you, with a shaker and all that stuff. Or you can just be simply doing it like I was by purchasing the DTF powder and curing everything under your heat press. I know a lot of people that do all of this in completely closed enclosures. Don't do that. It's very dangerous. All of this stuff, it hasn't been tested. It hasn't been around for that long. It's only been maybe 1 or 2 years. So nobody knows the actual or the real side effects that can come from inhaling all of these fumes. Now, I know a lot of people say, but if you're pressing DTF transfers, you're still getting exposed to fumes. Yeah, you are, but it's not the same amount that you are if you're printing the transfers yourself. If you're pressing transfers, you do get a little bit of fumes here and there, but it's nothing like when you actually cure the ink and the powder. Think of it this way. You press a regular DTF transfer and you're going to have a couple, a little bit of smoke on the side, nothing crazy. But when you actually cure the transfers, you have fumes coming out, even if it's a little transfer. When that powder melts, it's going to release all of that moisture into the air. And again, it's nasty. So when it comes to DTF printers, I'm completely against having them in your house and printing. Even in the garage that I'm in right now, I wouldn't have one in here. The only way I would have it is if I have a massive, and I mean massive, ventilation system. Something that can ensure that nothing gets inside the house or escapes. Now, I know a lot of businesses that have been doing this. A lot of businesses have been growing and they have purchased their own DTF printers and they have a proper ventilation system in place. Now, that's good. I'm very happy for everybody. But again, personally, I wouldn't have a DTF printer, even if it has a ventilation system and everything, in a smaller enclosed space. My transfers, whether they be screen print transfers or DTF transfers, I get them from TKO Sales. If you want to check out TKO Sales, you can also use my code Neko Prints to get 10% off your first order. I've been to their headquarters. I've seen what they have. They have huge warehouses, just an insane amount of different printers in there. And when I went to check out their DTF printer, it is in a specific spot with a very sophisticated ventilation system. TKO Sales in this case is taking some very, very, very big precautions to, one, of course, ensure quality prints, but two, more importantly, to take care of their employees. They're not exposing their employees to all of these different fumes, even when those transfers are being printed. Unless you're in this type of setting where you're really printing everything just nonstop, and on top of that, you don't have people really exposed to those fumes, I wouldn't have a DTF printer at home. I would just outsource my prints and order them from, like I said, TKO Sales. So next up we have UV printers. Now, I can't really talk much about UV printers because I've never used one myself, but I've heard a lot of really good things about them. Pretty much the way that this works is you can print on, I guess it depends on the type of printer that you're getting, but you can print on almost any surface. And there's going to be a little UV light that goes over it that cures the ink on the spot. At least from my understanding, that's how it works. But again, I can't really talk on the quality or the efficiency or how long prints last, let's say on a t-shirt, because again, I don't have one. I don't have experience with it. But just so you know, that is an option. So you can do a little bit of extra research and see if it works for you. Then we have prints and cuts or equal solvent printers. These are also another type of printer that I've heard really, really, really good things about. Now, the one that I've seen most often used is the Roland BN20. And again, I've heard a lot of good things about it. The way that this works is it's pretty much a large format printer where you're going to feed your vinyl through it, whether that be vinyl or heat transfer vinyl, and it's going to print its design and then it's going to feed it back and then cut the design. So it's actually very efficient for making things like transfers and making things like stickers. Now, this does use ink, and I can't really tell you how much the ink is because I think that depends on the type of printer that you buy and the brand. But from my understanding, the Roland BN20 or similar printers are pretty efficient because they don't cycle the ink as much as something like a DTG printer. They are still going to cycle the ink, so there's going to be a little bit of ink loss, but it's not going to be to the extent of, let's say, again, a DTG printer. Now, these are going to require some sort of maintenance every once in a while. Again, I can't tell you exactly how much because I don't have one, but the Roland BN20 is one of the printers that I did consider at one point, but I ended up going with the white toner printer, primarily because there is no maintenance on the white toner printer. Period. That's what I love about it. The fact that there's no maintenance. I like no maintenance things. I like just having things work. Obviously, that's not always the case, but when it comes to eco solvent printers, that's also another option you have. And I've heard a lot of good things about the transfers as well. I heard they last. Same thing with the stickers. And there's also a lot of different types of vinyls that you can use with it. Then we have the ever popular and most commonly used inkjet printer. The inkjet printer is pretty much what you find in any store and pretty much in anybody's house. Now, these aren't necessarily for t-shirts or for stickers or anything like that. And the print quality is really going to vary depending on the printer that you get, depending on the price point, the types of inks, the brand, and a lot of other factors. These are your basic household printers. This is something that you're going to use for practically everything at any point throughout the day. Now, these again aren't specifically for crafting or t-shirts, but they can be used for it. Now, the way that you do this is with specialty types of papers. So there is different types of sticker papers that you can use, and there's different types of heat transfer papers that you can print on. Now, these aren't going to be the best. I'm going to tell you right off the bat, they're not going to be the best. They're not going to last as long, but they do get the job done. You can buy something like the Nina 3G opaque paper, I think it is. And if you have a cutter, you can cut around it. Or you can use scissors, or you can use an X-Acto knife, or however you want. But to get like a very accurate cut and, you know, like a print and cut, I would use a vinyl cutter. So if it's for t-shirts, you're going to print on the paper. You're going to go ahead and peel it, because this type of heat transfer paper comes with a backing, and the backing gets peeled, put it onto your t-shirt, and either you iron it on, which I don't suggest, or you use your heat press. And the other option that you have is for stickers. Stickers, you're going to find a lot of different types of vinyls or printable vinyls that you can use with inkjet printers. They work, they get the job done, but they're not always going to be the best. They're not always going to last. They work. It gets the job done. Next up, we have screen printing. Now, I know screen printing isn't necessarily a printer, but it is a way of printing t-shirts. And I'm pretty sure that's why you clicked on this video. So we have to cover screen printing, the OG pretty much. When it comes to screen printing, there's a few options that you have. You can either go the traditional screen printing route, which is by buying a press and, you know, getting all that stuff done. Or now there's also this new way of doing it using Xtool. If you want a bit more information on that, I have a video there too. You can check this one out right here. In it, I show you how you can use a laser engraver to get started screen printing. It's actually really cool. Huge thank you to Xtool for sending over all that stuff for me to test out. But I'm pretty sure all of you know the process for screen printing. And when it comes to using a laser engraver versus the traditional screen printing way, pretty much all you're using the laser engraver for is to burn the screen. So you have your screen with the emulsion. The laser engraver is just going to go ahead and burn the design through the emulsion so you can get started screen printing. I like to sometimes compare it to vinyl in terms of different layers. But with screen printing, you do have a lot more options though. In basic terms, you're going to have one screen per color. Kind of the same way with vinyl, right? You're going to have one vinyl for each color, or each layer is going to be its own color. And what you're going to do from there is pretty much just start stacking things on top of each other, start stacking colors on top of each other, or vinyls on top of each other. Now, when it comes to screen printing, it is a longer process. So if you're looking to get into screen printing, just keep in mind that most of the times people start screen printing businesses not to print 1 or 2 shirts. Most of the times it's going to be to print bulk shirts. The reason for this is because of the prep time. It takes quite a while to get everything prepared for screen printing in terms of putting emulsion on the screen, burning the screen, setting up your press, setting up the colors. The entire process to get started, it takes a bit of time. But when you actually get started printing the shirts, you know, just laying down the ink and squeegeeing, that's actually really fast. So that's why a lot of people that opt in for screen printing are pretty much solely doing bulk orders. You're never going to see anybody that does single orders unless they have something like I said, like the Xtool screen printer. It does make it easier, but you know, you still have the cleanup process. You still have all that stuff. So just keep that in mind if you want to get started screen printing. In my opinion, unless you're doing bulk orders or unless you're getting, you know, a lot of bulk orders coming in, I wouldn't do screen printing unless that's the case. Even then, I personally don't do screen printing. I'm not a huge fan of it because, again, of all of the prep work. So I just opt in for screen print transfers. So those were the best printers that you can use for your t-shirt business, your crafting business, or just your business overall. What did you think of them? Let me know down in the comments below. Remember, at 10,000 subscribers, we are giving away the heat press with DTF transfers and some screen print transfers. So if you want to learn more about that, if you want to be able to enter that contest, official rules will be released when we hit 10,000 subscribers. Make sure you watch all the videos in my playlists and all the videos I have available so the algorithm can start pushing us out to more people and we can reach that 10,000 subscriber milestone a little bit quicker. Huge thank you to everyone for watching. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below on any one of these printers if you want to learn more, or what your thoughts are on any of these printers. Have you used any of them? How do you think they work for your business? How do you think they're going to work for anybody else's business? What are your thoughts? Once again, drop them down in the comments below. Huge thank you to everyone for watching. Leave a huge like if you like this video, and if you're still watching, make sure you hit that subscribe button, ring that little bell notification. And with that, I'll catch y'all next time. Peace.